This is PNC Roundtable.
Hello, this is Rick DiVore, Regional President for PNC Bank, and thank you for listening to PNC Roundtable. It's on this show that we tackle some of the region's tough issues with people who make a difference.
Now here's the PNC Roundtable.
Welcome into PNC Roundtable. Hi, this is Paul W. Smith, along with my co-host, the President of Detroit and Southeast Michigan PNC Financial Services Group Incorporated, Rick DiVore. It is a pleasure to be with you here and to be here at the PNC headquarters, actually, in Oakland County. And who better to have with us as our very special guest on today's broadcast other than the Oakland County Executive, Mr. L. Brooks Patterson.
Thank you, Paul.
You know, I'm thinking, Brooks, they would have clapped even if I didn't start the clapping like that. I think they would have, because you know what, Brooks? You have done an unbelievable job for years.
Thank you
in
very
Oakland
much.
County. You've had people from all over the world come and try to see how it is you do what you do and continue to do it successfully. How do you do what you do successfully?
I'll tell you, the success, such as it is, goes back to 1992, the election from which I first ran for county exec. I think it was November 2nd, so the rest of November, December, those 60 days when I put the team together. And the team you put together molds in very significant ways the success you're going to enjoy later on. It's been a team effort. I got a great team.
You do have a great team, and you've kept them, too.
Oh, most of them, yeah. One, I think Snyder stole one of my guys, and one passed away. So, yeah, everybody else is still with me for all those years.
Well, good for you. And I know that you like being right here in Oakland County with the PNC.
Yeah, we just thought it would be a unique opportunity, Paul, to use this great facility, and what better guest to have than Brooks here in Oakland County.
And who would we see in our audience? Not specific names, but are these clients, customers, city officials, or all of that?
All the above. We have customers here, employees. We have the mayor of Rochester Hills here somewhere. We have various officials from the county, but we tried to make this Oakland County centric, if you will.
All right, and it's a good thing. We're with.
How did Brian Barnett get a plug so early in the program?
He didn't raise his hand. So
Yeah, he was hiding in the hills. I didn't see him where he was. Brooks, last week you celebrated the opening of your new airport terminal at Oakland County International Airport. It is the nation's first LEED certified general aviation airport. Tell us a little bit about the terminal's innovations and what it'll mean for commerce in Oakland County.
Yeah, everybody was impressed except Frank Beckman.
I heard him. Yeah, I heard.
Who refers to it as the Al Gore terminal.
I don't think. Let me just tell you something. Everyone has their own opinion, but I don't know how you could be wrong in trying to do something that conserves energy and keeps the environment clean.
Well,
whether you're off on one end or the other deep end doesn't matter. To me, that just makes good sense.
We're going to be LEED certified at we think the gold level. No higher than that is platinum. I don't know how you get there, but LEED talks about leadership in environmental.
You hire Al Gore.
Yeah, that's right.
As a consultant.
LEED is an acronym for Leadership in Environmental Engineered Design, and so you can imagine there's a lot of bells and whistles. On the roof are the photovoltaic panels that obviously pick up the heat, and that's how we have hot water. We have the geothermal wells for air conditioning and heating and throughout the year. That geothermal is supposed to reduce our energy consumption by 50%. Now, we're going to track it very, very closely and find out if we get that return. We have wind spheres out by the tarmac. I was there yesterday for the air show, and they were spinning. Now, that's going to generate 15% of our electrical usage. Then when you come in, there's an airplane suspended from the ceiling. It was an acrobatic plane, and the pilot who won the national awards was there. He loaned us the plane for 10 years. And when we opened up the terminal, now we have all this space. We went through the archives, and we found a certificate that the federal government gives to any airport that opens up, and it has to be certified. Our certificate is 00001.
Wow.
We were the first certified airport in the United States of America. Then, the next year, 1930, we had an air show. And guess who signed the certificate authorizing us to participate? Orville Wright. I'm not kidding you. So it's a lot of history out there.
A lot of history.
But the green energy part of it is, I think, something special. I think we're trying to, virtually every Fortune 500 company we'll send somebody through that gateway, the terminal. And we wanted to make an impression, and we wanted to make a statement that we're a progressive county, we're hooked to technology, we know a little bit about saving energy, and we know how to market. So we hope to attract business over the years.
Well, maybe you're wondering, too, and maybe you know, because maybe you were a part of it, but how did you pay for this, or are you paying for
yeah.
this?
Every time a plane lands, they pay a fee. So we got about $6.5 million of fees. So that's no taxpayers' funds. That's user fee. Then we got a direct grant from the Department of Energy because of all the energy savings. So $6.5 million from user fees who use the terminal, and about 2.3 something from the federal government for our energy conservation.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And it should get better.
I think so.
As times get better. As things happen, there'll be more of those people passing through,
yeah.
more landing and takeoff fees.
Our numbers are down a little bit. We're still the second busiest airport in Michigan. Metro's number one because they're a hub. I mean, they're way out front. We come in number two ahead of every other airport as far as traffic.
The green concept is one that's very familiar to us, as you know, Paul. We will be constructing the largest LEED certified skyscraper in the world starting in November. And every branch that's built is green, and if you add up all the branches we've built, we've actually constructed more green buildings than any company in the world.
Really?
Yeah, well, don't tell Beckman.
Yeah, I know Frank won't be too happy with that.
Won't be too happy with that, but humor him anyway. Where's this tallest skyscraper?
It'll be in Pittsburgh at our headquarters. It'll be the 4th building in our complex, so it starts in November.
All right, very good. A few weeks ago, the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine began educating its first class of 50 doctors. We had them on the show that day. A lot of people excited about it. What's the economic impact going to be, Brooks?
It's incredible.
Your medical Main Street program, the whole deal.
Well, yeah, this school stands alone. It's the first medical school in Michigan in 50 years. It's out on the campus of Oakland University. So it's the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. They had 3,200 applications for the first 50 students. If you think about that for a second, this medical school is reversing the brain drain. Instead of the best and brightest leaving, we're bringing them in, and from all around the country, and in some cases from other continents and so forth around the world. But most of those kids are from the United States. When it's fully ramped up to between 500 and 600 students, the economic impact, and it's not my number, this is the econometric model that was used by the people who advise us, $3.2 billion on an annual basis with 10,000 new jobs when it's fully ramped. I mean,
$3.2 billion?
That is a transformational event. I can turn Oakland County's economy around with an investment like that. It's going to take us 5 to 6 years to get there because they're taking these students in segments. But when it's fully ramped, yeah, it's going to be great.
That sounds fabulous.
And Brooks, I think I've heard from you, but I think you mentioned that healthcare has passed automotive as your number one employer in the county.
Yeah, well, before the implosion, General Motors was my largest employer. Today it's Beaumont. And they switched position. Actually, General Motors dropped down, I think, a couple. And so healthcare now, we hired an economist, Pat Anderson, you know Pat. And he did I said, quantify this for me. What do we got going here in healthcare? Because I saw the hospitals popping up with Providence and Ford, and you got McLaren coming in, you got Beaumont expanding, St. Joe's expanding. So I said, give me a number, Pat. He said, Brooks, today, and this report now is a little over a year old, you've got 93,000 people in Oakland County employed in healthcare, in the life science. Okay, that's from biopharma, to pharmaceutical, to medical device manufacturer, but within that field, 93,000. You're going to add 45,000 more in the next 5 years. It is by far and away the most explosive segment of economic growth for Oakland County, and we're focusing on it. You talk about medical Main Street. We saw those numbers coming, so we created a whole marketing program, if you will, called Medical Main Street, and we're trying to attract more investment from around the world to support, obviously, this growth.
Well, Brooks Patterson, your Medical Main Street grew out of your emerging sectors job attraction and retention strategy that obviously has worked well. How was emerging sectors created? And tell us a little bit more about the success today.
Back in 2003, I saw a headline, I think it was in the Detroit News, and it said 200,000 jobs flee Michigan. And that wasn't just a cyclical adjustment in my mind. I felt those jobs were not coming back. So I called my staff together and said, hey, these jobs are gone. We got to start to look, where are we going to replace these jobs? Now, to our credit, we saw it coming, but we never saw the bankruptcy of General Motors and Chrysler coming. So in 2003, we researched what we thought would be the 10 future growth sectors of employment, quality growth, sustainable jobs, high-tech jobs will be here for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And we found those 10 sectors. Of course, one of them was healthcare. At the time, we didn't think that would be the fastest. Actually, finance was doing very well as the early leader, and then it dropped back given the recession. But healthcare clearly is moving on. Alternative energy, nanotechnology, aerospace, and one that popped up was sort of disappointing and interesting as a growth sector for the future, homeland security. And we double-checked the numbers on that, and sure enough, it's right there. So those are our emerging sectors. And when out of the emerging, and that program, it's probably a 25-year program for implementation. And by that, I mean, I'm trying to diversify the economic base of Oakland County. We had all of our eggs in the automotive basket. Chrysler's headquartered here. GM was my largest employer. You can see Delphi from this window, Lear, and so forth. I mean, they're all here, and they all went through some tough times. So we learned a lesson. We got to diversify the economic base. We went into 10 sectors outside of automotive, and we were nurturing those, we're recruiting within those sectors. We've brought in so far about $1.8 billion in new investment within those sectors. And I think we've only been in the business since we launched in 2004, so what's that, 7 years? It's going to take 25 years, and that's just a guesstimate on my part, to diversify the economic base. But when it's done, I won't tell this audience that we're going to be recession-proof, but I will argue we're going to be recession-resistant because we spread out all of our risk.
Automation Alley must seem like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, that was an amazing success story, your economic diversification initiatives. A consortium of more than 1,000 companies across 8 counties in the city of Detroit. When I go back to my hometown of Monroe, Michigan, an Automation Alley community. You're everywhere with that thing. That thing's been amazing.
Well, it started out in 1998, I think it was, and I'd be going to lunch, and I speak a lot for lunches and dinners and so forth. I heard the same refrain over and over that we can't get our high-tech jobs filled. People just don't see the Midwest, certainly don't see Southeast Michigan as high-tech. Silicon Valley, obviously number 1. Boston's Route 128 was number 2. So we hired, again, Pat Anderson. I said, Pat, tell me where the high-tech jobs are. I want to know who my competition is. Silicon Valley had over 300,000. Boston's Route 128 had over 200,000. We came in third, believe it or not. The report's on our website. 167,500 high-tech jobs. If you use the same measurement, apples to apples, using the NASIC code, and for the first time we included automotive engineers as high-tech. Now, if you look at under your dashboard, you got to know it's high-tech stuff. So, and those engineers, for which we have the most concentration of engineers any place in America right here, were never counted within the high-tech employment. Once you threw them in the mix, we popped up to number 3. So with that information, armed with that empirical data, I was able to go to companies around town, and we started out with 43 companies who all kicked in 15 grand, so no taxpayers' funds were used. And we started Automation Alley as a branding, marketing effort to brand this region for what it really was, high-tech. You don't have to go to California, and you don't have to go to Boston. You can get a high-tech career here with affordable housing compared to where you are on the coast. And these jobs are really, the career path are phenomenal. So we went out and started marketing. Well, it went from 43 companies to a couple hundred. Now we're up about 1,020 in 8 counties. It is a good success story, and I give credit to my deputy, Ken Rogers, who is the guy who I assigned him to take that and run with it, and he ran with it very, very well.
Kenny has done a great job. Yep. Your technology industry report was really excellent. That might be what you were referring to, but there was some good news, other good news for Southeast Michigan in that technology industry report.
Yeah, I always talked about the concentration of engineers that we had, again, and they documented that we have more, a heavier concentration of that.
Than we knew, that we were getting credit for.
Yeah, and nobody gave it to us until we actually hired an economist and his team to go out and do the research, and they found tens of thousands of engineers in this area that we're never given proper.
Well, we've never gotten the credit in an automobile, the high tech that
well, that was
automobile
my point.
is.
That was my point.
Let's face it.
Count those engineers as high tech. Boom, we jumped to third.
We could actually use some more too. We have a number of customers that actually have openings
I
that
hear
are
that.
going on filled.
We're hurting a little bit for trying to get some more of those highly qualified people. Did you get a call from the president the other day?
No.
Because earlier this month, Moody's and Standard & Poor's reaffirmed Oakland County's AAA bond rating. And I figured that he wanted some help on that since.
The day that Standard & Poor's downgraded the U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA, I think, plus, that was the very day, for some reason, by bad luck or good luck, we went to market with 2 different bond issues. Moody's, Standard & Poor's both gave us AAA the very day, so it was like ships passing in the night. And that just, I think, speaks volumes for the private sector, people like Rick sitting here, and what you all have built in this county. It's strong. It weathers the economic storm, I think, better than most counties. And so, yeah, we're down somewhat, but we're still AAA. We have reserves in our funds. We have a delinquent tax revolving fund. We go out and collect delinquent taxes on behalf of the cities. We prepay them their tax, so they get a stable revenue source, but we get to go out and collect the delinquents, and we get the interest and penalty on that. The delinquent tax revolving fund is $220 million cash, just sitting there. So when Wall Street looks at that, they say, you know, you guys are well heeled. You're flush. You're balanced. We have the only county in America that has a rolling budget for 3 years. So we're in balance for 12, 13, and 14. Line item detail. We're working on 15 already. And 2015, when Wall Street sees that, they say, you know, why aren't others doing that? So I don't know, but that gives you that long-range lookout. So we're making adjustments now in hiring based on what we see to be the challenges in 2015. Good news is economy is coming back. Bad news is we're still projecting real estate decline all the way out to 2014.
That's bad news. Rick, what do you see running PNC here? And you look at this county that you're a part of, Oakland County, having that AAA bond rating and watching them maintain this highest level of credit. Some of your observations.
Well, I think the first thing, both professionally and personally, I'm an Oakland County resident, is the borrowing cost is less. Yeah. And so for every resident in this county, they get the advantage of lower borrowing costs. What Brooks was outlining, the delinquent tax, we've been a buyer of those bonds both here and elsewhere. In fact, we did a big issue with Oakland County, a variable rate deal earlier this year. So, you know, it's good, and it's really a testament to the county, if you will, and also it helps us, I think, attract people to the region that may be around the cusp, if you will. I have to put a plug in for one of your friends, Mr. Hackle, just achieved AAA as well. Mm-hmm. And we did give a shout out to you, Brooks, when we had Mark on the show.
But you watch that young guy, because he's taking shots at you and Ficano, you know, and he does it with a smile on his face.
You know, Hackle's living proof of what happens when first cousins marry. So, you know.
Gotta write that one down.
Now we're even.
Edit. Oh, all right. Well,
that's why we tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, don't you dare edit.
No, that won't be edited. I promise you, that won't be edited. You know, the AAA bond rating and all of that, the 3-year budget. You do this now as just a matter of course. Obviously, it's important. Why can't we get other people to do that, and notably the state?
Yeah, the state's going to a 2-year budget. A lot of the communities are looking at 2 years now. Moody's and Standard & Poor's. In fact, we actually lecture on behalf of Standard & Poor's on the benefits of multi-year budgeting. They call my people, Laurie Van Pelt and Bob Dado, and they go out not only around the state, but sometimes around the country. So they know that we're strong in that area. My finance is probably the best team, I think, anywhere in the country. So they want us to become instructors to other communities and states and how you do it and how you get there. And we've met with Mark, we've met with Dave Bing, we met with everybody. Said it ain't rocket science. We just got to take that first step, and then you can get there over time.
I'm wondering how you have maintained, and you're going to say it's your team and all of that, but that Oakland County has been named among the most technologically advanced county governments in the nation for 7 years in a row. I want to know a little bit how you're achieving that, L. Brooks Patterson, and also I know that at one time you came on my regular morning show and you talked about how you wanted the entire Oakland County to be Wi-Fi, and you wanted all this and you wanted all that. Some of the things you're able to get, some of them you're not.
Oh, yeah, we always shoot for the moon, and well, we didn't miss. Actually, we now have a company coming in and going to do the north half of Oakland County, going to wire it. So we got half a loaf there. I got, as you say, a great team. Phil Berlini is my director of IT, and when we started out, this is true. In those days, I had an assigned car, but we don't anymore, of course. I went over to the county garage to get my car, and the card was on 3x5 card in a shoebox. And that's how they maintain the records. We've come a long way since that. That was 93. The last 2 or 3 years, we've been ranked by the Center for Digital Government as the most technologically advanced county in America. I mean, right out of 3,200 counties, we're number 1. And when's this show going to air?
I'm not sure when this show is going to air, but it airs repeatedly. It'll be online, and people can access it
Wednesday
a lot. So if there's, you can make an announcement here.
I'm going to make an announcement. Wednesday is what date?
31st.
31st.
No,
Yeah.
I can't tell you. We just got an award for our website. I can't tell you that. Yeah. So
what the heck here?
From the technological.
When is it going to be announced? When will it be announced?
On the 2nd of September. We're under an embargo, but we got a significant award for our website.
This is going to run already this coming Wednesday?
Yeah, see that? Okay. So I can't give the details, but we
wait a minute. You just said it.
I know.
You just said what it is.
It'd make for a great promo.
We run this as if it's live. Sorry, folks that are listening right now. It is live on tape. Yeah.
But
you said it.
The Center for Digital Government recognizes the total inculcation of technology across the county itself, and how we bring that to bear in all of our departments. We're number one. Number two, now we came in number two on a website, which is a little different category, but still, it's pretty rarefied air. And it goes to the quality of the team. You always make fun of me, but really, I like to say, hell, I did it myself, but I didn't. The team did it, and we have a really smart bunch of people. But here's the downside of that in this economy. They're picking off my people, the private sector, one by one, and give them 20, 30 grand more than I can pay them. And so their rating.
I think they need raises anyway.
I do too, but we don't do. They didn't get a raise.
I think we all need a raise.
Yes.
Don't we? Yes, of course we do. They can't
Actually,
go wrong in that.
they suffered a 4.5% rollback. So in this economy, and when technology, you say the technology jobs are hard to find, well, they're going to where the talent is, and they're picking us up. They really are stripping us bare. Tough.
Well, and actually, the people to fill those technology jobs are the ones that are hard to find right now. Just to clarify for that, talk a little bit about regional transportation. I think people get confused by where you stand, or that you're for it or you're against it or whatever. What you are first and foremost, and you never have to remind me, but I'll remind our listeners and our live studio audience.
Well, you can see the Silver Dome from here, Paul.
So he is always looking out for his people, which is what he is supposed to do. He's looking out for Oakland County. He wants to cooperate with everybody that he possibly can, as long as it's not at the expense of his folks at Oakland County. I think your high-speed rail line to the Sleeping Bear Dunes is a brilliant idea.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Well, transportation has been a bugaboo. We have signed on, Oakland, despite the reputation we're not, regional players, to every regional proposal, starting with DARTA back about 8 years ago. And Engler vetoed that his last day in office. It was a history-wide veto. He was angry about not getting his way on charter schools. And so we've been trying to put it back together for the last 8 or 9 years, and we do have an agreement in concept formed by the smart director at the time, John Hertel. So we're there. It's just we're watching, very, very cautiously. The M1 starts at the Hart Plaza and goes up to the new center area around the Fisher Building. I think the cost on that initially are something like 3.2 just to build that little line, plus millions more to maintain. That's nothing for maintenance and operation. And so when you talk about coming all the way up Woodward, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And all I say is, okay, how much is it going to cost and who's going to pay for it? Now you're starting to see, we're going to have a regional tax here. We're going to have a regional tax for the one to go to Chicago. We're going to have I don't know that the public's ready to embrace more regional taxes. And if they do, hey, I'll shut up. And if they don't, then I'm going to support it.
Well, you've always been very clear about that, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of regional transportation and anything that will affect the people of Oakland County.
Well, you talk about a line, and again, a little history here, because I've been around so long. We had a regional we had a transit line, started at Pontiac, the Transpo system, went down to Norm's Eaton Station.
But that was with the Wells Fargo,
no,
with
it was
the horses.
No. It was the Grand Trunk. It started in Pontiac at the Transpo, went to Norm's Eaton Station, which is a restaurant, then it was at Birmingham, the train station, then went to Royal Oak, went to Poletown, and ended up dumping the passengers off what is today the Renaissance site. And I know because I had one of my corp counsel, my leading lawyer for the county, Judy Cunningham, rode that back and forth. It's called the Silver Streak. When the ridership fell below 500, and the city still had a more critical mass, well over a million, maybe 1.2, 1.3 million people, the Grand Trunk said, we need a subsidy. And the public said, we're not going to subsidize it. So they sold their line to, I think, the Canadian line. That rail line was right past here. But now we don't build a new one. But we couldn't sustain it when we had more ridership, more business in Detroit. And what makes us think we're going to be able to sustain a new one at high cost?
It's a very good question, and it's the kind of question that L. Brooks Patterson you always ask. Come October, thousands of people will be taking part in the Brooksy Way Half Marathon and 5K race, named for your beloved late son. Last year, you began using the proceeds from the race to give Brooksy Way mini grants to Oakland County organizations promoting active and healthy lifestyles. What's that all about? How's that going? What are you accomplishing with the mini grants and everything else?
When I came up with the idea of a half marathon, it was back in 2007. And we have other things. We got Count Your Steps for childhood obesity. We give pedometers to kids, 34,000 of them. And we're trying to improve the overall, elevate the health and well-being of the citizens.
Let me just say something, interrupting you just for a moment, because I remember when you announced that Count Your Kids and you came on my program, you talked about it. And what spurred Brooks on to doing this was that he had somehow come upon the information that indicated that we have now a generation of kids
that we're raising today
that we're raising today that for the first time their life expectancy is shorter than the generations before them.
Yep.
Because of the obesity, the sitting in front of a television, being inactive, eating the junk food and all of that. And that's why you wanted to do something about it. And that STEP program caused these kids to be putting these little pedometers on their waists, around their belt, and you'd see them in restaurants in Oakland County, and they'd be trying to get steps on. So when they're sitting there waiting to have dinner with mom and dad, they're standing there and getting their steps in, standing next to the table. But you know what else happened? The parents and the grandparents and the aunts and the uncles all started doing the exercise.
Well, they walk with the kids at night. They get home, they come walk by themselves.
It was you pass over it, but I'm going to tell you something. That was a very, very big deal that you did that, and it had a massive impact, and it will for generations.
Well, we're still doing it. They've walked, all the kids now, about 17 billion steps. When they add it all up, we maintain the database. That's about 300 and some times around the planet Earth. And that program's still ongoing. And you're right, childhood obesity will shorten the lifespan of these kids. So they won't live as long as their parents. First time in our history. So we're out there trying to fight that. So I said, what else can we do to try to improve the health of Oakland County residents? Well, I came up with an idea of a half marathon. And that was in my February 7th speech to the state of the county. And then on the 10th, 3 days later, my son was killed. And the committee named the race after Brooksy, hence the name, the Brooksy Way. And that's an extrapolation of my son-in-law's eulogy. And he's saying, if you're going to live life, live it to the fullest, live it the Brooksy Way. So there's the name. So we started the first race in 8, 9, 10. We got a fourth race coming up in October 2nd. It starts at OU. And we actually generate some net proceeds. And that's getting back to your question, what are we doing with the proceeds? We took somebody thought maybe the Patterson family was keeping the money. No. We set up a 501c3, and what we do, we put $50,000 aside. Then I say to any organization in Oakland County, if you have a church group that has a 5K, or seniors have a dance club, or maybe swim classes for challenged kids, those are some of the grants we fund. Mayor Barnett here, we gave him a couple $1,000 when he puts blessing in a backpack, puts nutritious food in school children's backpack. We give the money back to the communities. Any community can apply for what we call a mini grant, M-I-N-I, a mini grant. And over time, as we continue to fund these healthy programs, I'm talking, again, I like to take the long range look, 10, 15 years from now, we're going to elevate the health of our community. Sure. And that's what it's all about.
And the mini grants make it possible for people who never would have thought they could get any help because it was only $500 or $250 or $1,000 or $2,000. They wouldn't get that help. But I must tell you, Brooks, I think you're going to be very happy with what Rick DiVore has to say right now.
Well, that's what I was going to try to interject. I'm here to announce we're going to be giving you $20,000 from our foundation for Count Your Steps program. And I think it's a great example of a long-term strategy that you have. You know, it's not something you're going to see tangible benefits immediately, but in the long term, it's really going to bear fruit.
Rick, that's very generous. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
That'll go in for the Brooksy Way, the Count Your Steps program. It's just going to go into your general fundraising.
And as you and I have discussed before, Paul, a lot of times the kids drag the parents into the better situation. We see that in our reading programs, and I think that's the same thing you're experiencing here. Once the kids get active, kind of drag mom and dad along. It's really the way to go.
Well, Dad's heading for the couch to watch the news after dinner, and a little 6-year-old daughter, a 3rd and 4th grade, probably a little 6 or 7. Said, Dad, I need somebody to walk around the block with me. So he gets his exercise too, and I get pictures from kids on vacation. We always try to do it during the same month of March, and I get pictures from kids down in Mexico or with their parents on vacation. They got the bathing suit on. There's the pedometer.
Isn't that fun?
Don't jump in the water with it. It's not waterproof.
Well, you're doing lots of good things that end up being very good for the people of Oakland County, and the other programs that you have in place to help residents maintain those active and healthy lifestyles. I understand why some people would say, well, why did he come up in the beginning with a half marathon? And I know this because I walked with you on the March of Dimes walk, and Brooks and I are walking side by side. We got about 150 feet. And would we see
Einstein's Bakery?
We made our first stop. So it wasn't a surprise to me that you came up with a half marathon if there was a quarter marathon.
Well, I tell you, Grace, how much time we have.
You got time. Kenny, what do we have? We have time.
And the first,
this will be the last story.
Okay, in the first Brooksy Way, there's two. There's a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles, and a 5K, which is 3.2 miles. Well, I'm going to do the 5K. And they put a little chip on your bib, and so when you go across the line, boom, you're on the timer. As I go across the starting line, there's Channel 7. Hey, Brooks, can we talk to you? I said, oh, yeah. So I go and I do an interview with Channel 7. Channel 4, I said, Brooks, we need a couple of minutes. So I do an interview with Channel 4, and I'm not into the race. I'm just, trying to promote it. So I come in, obviously, dead last because all the time I took out. Well, I don't have a problem with that until the Oakland Press printed all the times. I am dead last 3 years in a row.
Well, you wanted to make sure that everyone was okay along the way.
Well, that's right. I'm giving my what do you call those, bibs. I'm going to give it to my son-in-law. I'm going to look good this year.
Well, I think we are going to have some questions from some of our guests here. As Rick DiVore, President, Detroit and Southeast Michigan PNC Financial Services Group, along with our very special guest, L. Brooks Patterson, Oakland County Executive. I'm Paul W. Smith on this PNC Roundtable, and we're here at the PNC headquarters in beautiful Oakland County. And if there, I guess we're going to do this right on the show. If you have any questions, we're ready to take them.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Here we go. Yes.
Has the Snyder administration have any effect on what's going on in Oakland County by their action or inaction on some of their policy changes?
Yeah, they have. Some of it salutary, some of it, up for grabs. I think when you reduce the overall tax burden that Rick is trying to do, certainly on business, I think that promotes more business development, more hopefully expansion of existing business and attraction of others. I think the potential of the revocation and the elimination of the personal property tax, which I'm sure every businessman and businesswoman would enjoy. That's fine. We're one of the few states that has a tax on personal property, but it's going to hit a lot of communities. It's going to hit my county by 26 mil. Now I'll have to make a serious adjustment. It's going to hit Dow, Midland, because they have all that equipment. About 60% of their budget in Midland is based on personal property tax. So you're going to put some cities right out of business. You got to weigh that one, evaluate it. He's coming in with the fact the legislature already passed it. They're going to require public employees to have pick up 20% of their own health care. Well, we're on a path to do that. We're now, Oakland County is probably like 12% toward that. Now, I haven't given my employees a raise in 5 years. I actually rolled back 2 years. I cannot ask them to pick up $4,000 more for health care. I'll get us there, but you got to give me time. And so that's going to be, I think, damaging to me. I was talking to the mayor of Rochester back there, Brian Barnett. He has the same problem because I make a decent living, and I could pick up $4,000. I wouldn't want to, but I can pick it up. But the secretary who makes $35 is still going to get the same $4,000 tag. So there's the inequity of it. So I know what he's trying to do. I appreciate it, but some of the programs that are coming down are going to be, we're going to struggle with them.
There's a question in the back.
Can you talk about Raleigh Studios? It's a big investment, I know, in your county, and with the taxes, with the Snyder, with the movie business, where you see this moving forward?
Yeah, I've been over there. And if you haven't had a chance,
unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. You can hear all kinds of things about it, but until you see it, you can't imagine what they've built there at Raleigh Studios. And it'd be a shame and a crime if that's let go and let to fail.
Thank you, Brooks. No, I'm just kidding.
Seriously.
No, I agree with Paul. It's a huge investment, and close to $100 million goes in there. They built themselves 9 sound stages, and they're doing the whole movie Wizard of Oz inside. There's nothing filmed outside. I went through on a tour. The technology that's going there. First they have the guy builds the cardboard house, then they have cameras going around trying to get angles. Then they take it over and they digitize it and put it in 3D. I mean, it's got about 300 or 400 people working there. And so I think the proof is that, yeah, there is a studio. It's functioning. It's bringing in a lot of money. And they built there because they were promised, I think, a tax abatement up to, I think the pool of funds was close to $100 million. And they could have applied against that pool. And when they got there, the pool had dwindled to $25 million. So I used to be an old prosecutor. You bait them, then you switch them. Bait and switch is not the way we want to do business. And so I think the state owes these guys at least a 3-year trial period. That's what they had offered. We'll keep you in business for 3 years, then you're on your own. So it's producing jobs, high-quality jobs. There's, I think, some opportunities for the future. And if we don't fund them, then I think, first of all, it's unfair to the people who created the investment. But secondly, I think we're going to lose some good employment opportunities.
It's an incredible facility if you get a chance. I'd heard about it. They'd been trying to get me to go forever, like they tried to get you to go forever. And you finally go, and you are truly in awe.
Yep.
of what they've created there and what the potential is. This is the Walt Disney Company that is doing a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. It's called Oz. And it is going to be a very huge film. Successful, nobody knows until it comes out, but it is a major undertaking. If it is successful, if they like doing business here, that's a company that makes a lot of films, brings a lot of money into our community. But somebody's got to present it to the governor in a way that the guy who's writing the checks, keeping the checkbook, believes it.
Well, Lyndon Nelson's the CEO down there, and he's met with the Senate Majority Leader out of Monroe,
Randy Richardville.
And I think Randy's going to put legislation to restore the money back up to $100 million. That will fulfill.
That would help a lot.
The initial commitment. And so Randy's been there. He's seen it. So I think one by one, they're picking off legislators until they get a majority.
Yeah, it's really something. Any other questions you might have before we close out our conversation here on our PNC Roundtable? Don't be shy. Thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. Let's show our appreciation to L. Brooks Patterson for being our very special guest.
I want to thank Rick again for the donation. Thank $20,000 is very, very generous. Thank you, Rick.
Huge. And on behalf of Rick DiVore, President, Detroit and Southeast Michigan PNC Financial Services Group, the final word.
Well, Paul, I checked the market this morning before we started. It's up, so that's a good sign.
Depending on when you're listening to this program.
Absolutely. It's up every morning. No, but, we're good residents of Oakland County. I enjoy living here. I love the quality of life. I'm a big fan of L. Brooks just because of what he does from a financial standpoint. And I think many times it's just not really appreciated enough. So I was anxious to get him on the show and on a beautiful day in beautiful Oakland County.
And we're at the right spot at the top of your PNC building that we all see from the expressway, and taking a view from inside out. You do get a great view of this wonderful county that you have built and created a healthy environment for all the people that live here and for all the businesses. And for that, once again, we salute you, L. Brooks Patterson, Oakland County Executive. On behalf of Rick DiVore, I'm Paul W. Smith. Thanks for joining us on PNC Roundtable.